2023 was not the best year for Mascot horror stuff, but it was a pretty good year for this YouTube channel that you should definitely subscribe to, since we're trying to hit 600k, wink wink, nudge nudge. Listen, unless you're a huge fan of Freddy Fazbear's over there was not much to sink your teeth into. If you are a huge fan of that stuff, last year was like a whole ass buffet, man. There was so much stuff. Maybe too much stuff? Off the top of my head though, if you didn't care about My Friendly Neighborhood, last year's non-FNAF Mascot horror selection was pretty dry. Or actually, maybe I should say it wasn't dry, since it was mostly slop, which is like the complete opposite of a dry substance. Listen, what I'm trying to say is, if you didn't want to play 5 Ban games in 1 year, you were kind of left out of the fun. However, I guess something changed in the air as soon as 2024 rolled around, because we have been blessed with multiple banger entries in this genre just in January alone. Like, Poppy Chapter 3 and Shipwreck 64 in the same month is wild, but stack shit like that one game with the axolotl Bonzi buddy that doxes your entire family lineage if you look at it funny on top of all that, and 2024 has already been packed to the brim with banger content, with much more coming down the pipeline, surely. With all these games to play, you'd probably think I'd be a happy camper at this point. Well, guess what? I'm never happy. Listen, January was busy as hell for me since I was too busy being sucked back into 2015 PewDiePie lore to play any new games, so I haven't actually played any of the games I've referenced thus far in this video. You know what I have played though? Garbage! I think I just have to admit at this point, I enjoy forcing myself to play shitty games far more than actually playing games I care about, especially for this YouTube channel. And hey, I just posted a 2-hour-long video on a game I actually like, which is very off-brand for the Yeah channel. We need to go back to talking about bottom of the barrel shovelware on the Steam storefront. So, that's exactly what we're gonna do over these next 2 videos, the first of which you're watching right now. I have had the honor to play 2 recent releases that are both shit in their own special ways, and we're gonna talk about both of them. Today's subject is the Mascot horror game, Moozy, which I have a bit of history with that we'll get into later. The other game is Rubber Hose Rampage, which is an insane Cuphead clone that may or may not be impossible. The jury's still out on that front. We'll talk about that next time, but first, we have some Moozying to get into. Join me on a journey through one of the most interesting Mascot horror games I have ever played during my time on YouTube. A game that I would argue fundamentally fails at being in the genre it's trying to be in. Somehow. So, strap in everybody. This is my complete deep dive on the February 2024 classic, Moozy. But first, and no, this isn't a sponsor segment, do not skip this. This is really important. Around a year ago, I launched my very first plush campaign with Onage, which I would say was a pretty big success. I am super happy with how the actual plush turned out, and seeing all of you over on Twitter with your plushies was really an awesome feeling. Because of that, it was a no-brainer to do another plush project with Onage, but I wanted to go bigger this time. I wanted to do something almost no other content creator has done before. Then, it hit me. Handy Dan. You all remember Handy Dan, right? Well, part of the whole thing with that character is that I wanted a bootleg company to make a plush of him, which did end up happening. Because of that though, it would be weird if I just released a Handy Dan plush of my own. So, I did what any sane person would do in this situation. I'm not gonna just release a Handy Dan plush, I'm going to release 6 of them! Introducing Handy Dans. Handy Dans is a line of collectible blind box plushies that come in 6 different designs. Featuring unique box packaging and a very, very cute design, these high-quality collectible beaver plushies are the perfect companion to watch Yeah videos with, or do literally anything else really. There are probably more important things to do with your Handy Dan than watch me, I'll just be honest. Allow me to go over the Dans that you have a chance of getting when you purchase a Handy Dan's blind box. First up, there's the Handy Dan, with an I instead of a Y, of course. He's your classic design that all of you already know and love. Next, there's Handy Danny. She's pink and has a cute little bow. You gotta love her. Then there's Moondust. I have no idea if this one's actually a beaver, nor do I know how they even got here at all. However, they are literally awesome, so we'll let it slide. Count Vanny is next, the chillest vampire in the whole dam. I do kind of feel bad for her tail though. Those are all the common designs you have an equal chance of getting, however, you can't have a blind box without rare designs. Introducing Sunnyside, the rare of the set. The perfect Dan to eat breakfast with, and probably nothing else. There's also a secret rare Dan, but you'll have to pull it for yourself if you want to see what that one looks like. This is genuinely such a passion project for me, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. You can head on over to onage.com to pre-order boxes using the link in the description. Not only does it help me out, but it gives you a high quality, cute plush that celebrates one of this channel's best jokes. I'd love to do more if this first wave does well, so go show some love. But make sure to act fast. They'll only be available for a limited time. Thanks everybody, now back to the video. Alright, right away, I want to make this crystal clear. Like pretty much all of my videos, this is for entertainment purposes only. I will make many jokes and critiques as per usual, of course, but keep in mind that none of this is that serious. And I absolutely do not condone anyone from my audience bothering the dev of this game. I only make this abundantly clear this time because to my knowledge, the dev of this game is fairly young. To be able to make a game at all at that age is already impressive enough. So even if it might seem like I'm being kind of harsh at points, trust me, it's not that deep. I have no issues with the dev, this is all for fun, and hopefully they'll be able to take something positive away from this video as they continue forward on their game dev journey. Now with that said, I still paid $5 whole for this 20-minute long game, and I'm going to talk about it like I talk about anything else on my channel. I'll say, it's definitely more competent than the first Ban game, which was made by 2 adults rather than 1 teenager, so there's at least that. Okay, enough rambling, let's actually get into this. Muzi was first brought to my attention the exact same way almost every other Mascot horror game has been brought to my attention. Other YouTubers, specifically Dawko and Fusion Z Gamer in this situation. Listen, no shade to these guys whatsoever, you gotta do what you gotta do, but sometimes it feels like they will just play anything.
What's going on guys, Dawko back again, hope you are fantastic today, and welcome to a horror game called The Grimmest Shake.
And I think this is a pretty good example of that. Both of these guys made videos on the demo of Muzi, which is like a 10-minute long romp at most, being generous. Under any other circumstances, both of these guys making videos on the Muzi demo wouldn't even really be that noteworthy. They play a lot of these games like this all the time. It's kind of part of the job. However, what was really interesting about these uploads was not the content itself, but how the videos were titled. If you've ever seen a Dawko video before, which you probably have, you'd know that typically, his titles are all uppercase and exaggerate something that happens in the game he's playing. Typical YouTube stuff, nothing crazy. This made it all the funnier, and all the more out of character, when Dawko uploaded his video on Muzi and titled it in all lowercase. The title was something along the lines of another Mascot horror game set in a toy factory with a bootleg Huggy Wuggy, and I remember Twitter went kind of nutty for this one. Obviously, Dawko was just being a bit of a jokester, and didn't mean anything with the title, but it's just incredibly funny to see someone as overly positive as Dawko title a video with this level of self-awareness. And I mean, the title is in no way wrong. Ever since Ban last year, there's been a major uptick in games trying to copy the success and formula of Poppy Playtime. I talked about all those good games that dropped earlier this year, but an equal or even greater amount of Poppy Playtime or Ban clones are also coming out super soon. It's gonna be a year of high highs and low lows. I can already tell you that. Also, just look at the snake thing in Muzi. These guys had every right to blatantly call it a Huggy Wuggy clone. It's not even subtle. By the time I finally got around to playing the demo for myself, this snake model had been changed to something that looks significantly less like Huggy Wuggy, but the fact it had to be changed at all is just really funny. The new design is way better compared to the old one though, so at least there's that. So I played the demo, made a video about it over on my second channel, and moved on with my life. I kind of just forgot Muzi existed until the full game dropped about a week ago, and I was randomly reminded of its existence. Out of complete boredom and curiosity, I shilled out the $5 needed and booted up Muzi in order to experience the full game and everything it had to offer. And oh boy did I. For reference, Muzi is realistically a game that can be beaten in about 25 minutes and has pretty much zero replay value, so there shouldn't really be that much to play or discuss here. However, you're forgetting that I'm crazy, so I was actually able to get about 3 hours of playtime out of Muzi. If anyone on this damn website should be qualified to talk about this game, it's absolutely me. I live and breathe that Muzi shit. So enough messing around. Let's get right into the game and see what it's all about. I'll be going over Muzi in order of events, comparing it to the demo whenever applicable, and probably talking about a bunch of other shit too. Let's do this. For starters, fuck the name Muzi. Okay, I've been wanting to talk about this for like a month straight and never had a place to do it, so we're doing it right now. When I first saw the name of this game, I decided to pronounce it Muzzy, which made sense in my head at the time. Obviously though, the lack of a second Z in the name didn't really make that pronunciation make sense. However, Muzi themselves is like a small green fuzzy thing, so I kind of just ran with it. Later I found out it is pronounced Muzi, which would be fine if it was spelled with 2 O's instead of a U, but it isn't. So the title of the game is stuck in this weird spot where it looks and feels like it should be pronounced as Muzzy, but it's actually pronounced as Moozy. But if they're gonna call it Moozy, why didn't they just do the 2 O's so it's obvious how you say it? God, I don't care how stupid this sounds, I just do not like this name. Maybe you're saying, oh, well, if it was called Moozy with 2 O's, maybe people would think the game is about cows or something, which would be a fair point if this game even remotely cared about animals in the first place. Okay, that sounds really bad without context. I promise this isn't about anything bad. Okay, let me explain. Okay, so the titular character, Moozy, is apparently supposed to be a mouse, which was just a shock to me, considering the thing looks like a love child between Jumbo Josh and Huggy Wuggy, and literally nothing like a mouse. Like, where is the nose? That would at least make the claim somewhat believable. So yeah, if they really wanted to, they could have called the game Moozy with 2 O's and just said Moozy was supposed to be a cow. It's not like they even remotely look like the animal they're supposed to be anyway. Like, why are you green? Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about the start of the game. Right off the bat, before we even get into the game, I have something I gotta say about the title screen. I would have never noticed this if Isaac, aka the Baddest, didn't point it out to me, but the order in which the buttons at the bottom of the screen are displayed are in the complete opposite order they should be. Like, this isn't a fucking Japanese manga, bro. Why are we reading right to left instead of left to right? Although, come to think of it, a Moozy manga might actually be the most nuclear idea ever crafted by the human mind. So ignore everything I just said. Let's just play this shit. The game opens up with this paper that has way too much text on it. I'm sure the lore of this game is some groundbreaking shit, but I think I'm just gonna pass on explaining it for today. I'm sure some other YouTuber will do it. Surely.
7-Eleven, bitch. Oh my god, motherfucking Newports. I'm hauling ass!
The only actual thing to note here is that the way the paper moves with your mouse is really weird. Almost feels like the shitty sister location mouse. It's not like one-to-one with that, but that's the best example I can think of. It's very strange. Anyway, who cares about that when we have a toy factory to explore? You're dropped off into the first area of the game, which is just the front of said toy factory. You can walk around a bit in an open area that has a lot of random shit you can mess around with. If you remember how you can move around all the chairs and trash cans in Ban 1, this game has that, but on steroids. You can mess with pretty much anything in the environment, which, you know what, I actually do respect. If these games are gonna drop the ball in terms of being scary, they might as well just lean into being Gary's Mod but worse. One of the more interesting things about the starting area actually has to do with the demo of the game. In the first area you spawn in, there's a very clearly AI generated painting just chilling on the wall that you see immediately upon starting the game. This was very weird to me, considering that nothing else in the game looked AI generated at all. Said painting was removed in the full release, but I still cannot wrap my head around why it was there to begin with. Whatever. At least this isn't some spectator bullshit, at the very least. The starting area of Moozy is completely closed off, with all the doors leading to other areas of the map being completely locked up. It's up to you, or I guess me in this case, like you'll never play this game, to find out how to escape. But don't worry if you can't figure it out. This game was made for children aged 2 to 3 years old, and it will tell you what to do if you fuck around for too long. I think you can turn these hints off in the settings, but there should really be some sort of happy medium here. The idea of being pushed in the right direction is good, but this game feels way too handholdy at times. Besides that, the next objective is to find a toy gun on the ground in order to progress to the next section of the map. I think there's a couple guns laying around in this first area, but it doesn't actually matter which one you pick up. They all work the exact same way to my knowledge. I guess now would be a good time to talk about the toy gun. In the genre of mascot horror, specifically in the games that fit into this kind of walking puzzle simulator-esque part of the genre, there's usually a main gimmick that helps it stand apart from the rest of the games it's trying to compete with. Poppy has the hands, Ban has the drone, and this game has the toy gun. The gun is fairly simple to understand. It pretty much just works like any other video game gun. If I had to complain about anything, it would be that there's no way to zoom or scope in. This is such a nothing point, and the game doesn't actually need this to be functional or anything, but I just really like spamming the left mouse button in games like Fortnite to zoom in and out over and over again, and I think Moozy is boring enough at points that I think a quick ADHD fun zoom button would increase the enjoyment I have with this game by a large amount, unironically. But yeah, the gun is functional, it works, no real issues. I can't wait to see what exciting puzzles await me in this game that will use the toy gun to its fullest potential, and make it a worthwhile addition to the Moozy experience. I really hope that happens. That would be awesome. I promise this isn't foreshadowing anything. Alright, so the first puzzle with the gun involves shooting these 3 buttons that hang above the gate you're trying to get into. In the demo, This shit was genuinely archaic, because what Muzi doesn't tell you is that you need to hit these 3 buttons in a certain order before the gate will actually open. So I was just sitting there like a dumbass trying to hit the same 3 buttons over and over again, confused why they weren't doing anything. Eventually I was just told what to do, but I remember that being the absolute dumbest part of the demo. Maybe, but we'll get into that later. Anyway, how does the full game fix this issue? Well, an attempt was made, but it's still kind of odd. Now there are 3 different lights that will glow either green or red depending on if the buttons are hit in the correct order, so there's at least something that pushes you in the right direction of the puzzle now, even if it's kind of a backwards way of doing it. Successfully shooting the buttons in the correct order will open up the gate and allow you to enter the next area of the game. Entering this area greets you with one of the worst musical tracks I have ever heard in one of these games. Oh, I forgot how bad the music is!
The music is...
Forgot how bad. It's like this really unfitting, annoying jungle-esque music that gets super headache-inducing really fast. The dev must have been self-aware of this fact, because between the demo and the full game releases, they added an in-universe button to just shut the music off, specifically in this area. This just begs the question then, why not just change it? I think making an in-universe button to shut up the annoying music is definitely more work than just going on YouTube and looking up a free stock track. Like, I would unironically prefer some Kevin MacLeod bangers over this any day. Ear-grating music aside, the mission here is to collect a series of keys until you eventually find the pink key, which is used to unlock the next section of the game. The first of these areas is literally nothing. You just go in, get the key, and get out. The next area, however, is home to our favorite Huggy Wuggy snake. You might be thinking you have to shoot it in the mouth or do something with the actual huge monster that's right in front of you, but no. To get the key in this section, all you have to do is stand on the correct tiles that the board shows you a couple times. Then the snake just gives you the key. Other than the snake doing that one thing, literally why is he here? To be YouTube thumbnail clickbait? Well, I guess it worked, because he's going in the thumbnail, baby. The only other things to note here is that, 1, there is a reference to the older design of the Huggy Wuggy snake hidden behind some blocks, which is kind of funny, and 2, this section has a physical difficulty selector that's part of the environment. The only difference between easy and hard is the amount of rounds you have to do, and there is literally zero benefit to doing this minigame or any minigame in this game on harder difficulties, so I don't know why you would ever do that. Moving on, after getting the next key from Huggy Wuggy Snake, you move over to the next section, which is a platforming challenge. Can we start a petition for games like this, which are in no way designed around platforming, to stop putting shitty platforming segments in them? This section feels like ass to control, and similar to the last section, it's not worth doing on the harder difficulty. I still did it on the harder difficulty at least one time to say I did it, but it was not rewarding or very fun. Kind of weird that this game has now opted to do completely random playground-ass minigames 2 times in a row instead of using the gun that I was just given, but you know what? Fine. Surely the next and final of these segments will utilize the gun instead of being something stupid like, oh, I don't know, a fucking maze. Oh, god damn it, yes! The last one of these before you get that pink key is a maze. But it's not just any maze. It's a maze that changes pathways the further you get into it. Fun! In the demo, this shit was a complete headache. I probably spent more time doing this maze in the demo than any other content within it. It's easier than it may seem, just move through the maze. Why did they added that? If they felt the need to add that, it's not as fucking easy as they think it is. Like, what? Thankfully, this maze is significantly easier in the full release, as these little ghosts were added around the maze that pop up when you're going in the correct way. Because of this, I pretty much have the whole path memorized now, so yeah, I'm kind of an epic Muzi champion. Speedrun.com is not ready for my takeover. Let's just say that. Getting to the end of the maze leads to this amazing jump scare from this gingerbread man looking thing. Oh my god, I got jump scared!
You did it.
Did I need to shoot him, or did he just fall over on his own?
He falls normally, but
okay, just
it's fun
confirming.
to shoot him.
He doesn't actually hurt you or anything, and flops back down pretty fast, and lets you get the key to progress forward. This design is so nothing. Every time I see someone try to work it into a YouTube thumbnail, I'm like, Girl, it's not gonna work. You are not that guy. You are not the snake. With the key in hand, we make our way out of this area and back to where we came from to use said key and progress forward. Now, if this was the demo, using the key here would have ended the game. However, this is not the demo. We're getting the full Moozy, baby. Let's see what's in store for us. Using the key drops down 2 different items for us to pick up. The first of these is a second gun, which is weird considering we didn't even use the first gun we had, but fine. I guess a new gun is fine. The only difference is that this gun has crayon scribbles all over it, and it shoots slightly faster. Great! The second item we get is a key card, which allows us to open the door directly to the left of us. Opening said door leads to a completely dark area. After turning on the light, we find out we've been transported to the Candies 2 universe, and the art style of Moozy completely changes from here on out. If you enjoyed the super colorful and cluttered areas from before, you can kiss them goodbye for the remainder of the game. It's boring gray areas with industrial shit everywhere from here on out. My favorite! Listen, I get what the dev was going for here. It's supposed to be a hard contrast from the start of the game to make things feel more scary and everything. Listen, that'd be great if the game was even remotely scary to begin with, but it isn't! There is minimal work put in here to make these boring gray areas feel scary outside of the generic tropes in the genre, like jump scares and chase sequences. So if this game isn't going to be scary regardless, I'd rather the environments be somewhat interesting like the first areas instead of this. It kind of just feels lazy, and it's not really a good thing when your paid game peaks visually during the parts that are available for free in a demo. Moving on from that, we make our way over to the elevator that takes us to the next area in the location. Here we need to do this very odd puzzle? Question mark? That involves moving these light switches in a certain order so that the big door to the left will open up and allow us to progress. To find out the order in which these switches need to be flipped, you have to go into this room that has big glass windows blocking off where you need to be. You might be thinking, okay, this is it. This is where the gun will finally come into play. This is where the gun that was so important we got a second version of it will finally come into play. And you'd be wrong. Instead, you gotta pick up a wrench. Yes, a wrench, and throw it at the glass to break the glass and get over the blocked section. Oh my god. Yes, instead of giving the main gimmick of the game something to actually do, let's give the player a brand new item that is used once here and never again. But you know what? Fine. I still have faith the gun will be useful soon, guys. There's no way they would give you a new, faster shooting version of the gun if it wasn't used for something. Let's just leave it for now. Once you learn the pattern that the switches need to be in, it's as simple as leaving the room and flipping the switches back. Also, if you are wondering, no, you can't just skip this section if you already know the order of the switches. The game checks a flag to make sure you actually go over to the paper before it opens the door. I can feel my speedrun.com time slowly slipping away from me already. Anyway, once the big door slowly opens up, we're greeted with this flashbang of a gray room. You see the entire second half of this room that's blocked off by a gate? Completely useless. I don't know why it's here. You can very easily get over there by using the objects in the area, but once you actually do get over there, you're pretty much soft locked and have to restart the game. Or have Moozy clip through the gate and kill you, but we aren't there yet. Ignore what I just said. Moozy can't hurt you. This game is family friendly, rated 0.5 ages and up. The goal of this area is to find a very specifically named battery and get the lift working again. But fuck that noise. We need to go Easter egg hunting first. Yes, like any good Mascot horror game, Moozy has its fair share of secrets to find. When it comes to the lore papers, which of course this game has those, you don't actually pick them up or anything like that. You actually have to read them in the environment. This is very stupid and very annoying. I'm not trying to crouch down in the corner of a room just to read a piece of paper with a short story written in 12-point font on it, buddy. Not happening. However, there are secrets in this game that aren't these papers, which is what we're going to talk about right now. Earlier in the game, back at the maze specifically, on your way out of there, a small blue thing that looks very easy to draw, by the way, will be waiting for you. You can't do anything with them then, but they'll let you know to look out for a golden key somewhere in the game. I wouldn't be a real Moozy 100% speedrun expert if I didn't fulfill this small blue thing's wish, so I set out on my quest to find the golden key. Said golden key is in the big gray room we were just talking about, and you need to move around these platforms with wheels on the ground in order to jump up to this roof ledge area and grab the golden key. So the game expects you to do this, but not the exact same thing on the other side of the map and get soft locked. Interesting. Anyway, I'll bring up the golden key once it's actually important again. You can safely forget about it now in order to be pleasantly surprised when I bring it up again. Back to the whole finding a battery thing, there are multiple of them hidden around the room for some reason, but you only actually need one to progress in the game. After finding a battery, you can go up the lift, grab a key card, and open this little room off to the side that the golden key was on top of earlier. This room is a glorified button essentially, as all you actually do in here is pull a switch. After pulling said switch, you have to walk on over to the door on the other side of the room. Once you get close enough to the door, you're greeted with foot jump scare. The lever dude, did it open this door? It probably opened this door. No, why did that actually get me though?
I know, it got me too.
So, I don't even have the gun to shoot them I wanted to.
No, that's the thing, you literally lose it. However, again, you should totally see the jump scare.
No, let me go.
It's worth it. It's so worth it.
Where do you even go? Open the gate by turning the lever. What fucking lever?
Look at this guy, he's so silly.
Dude. Alright, jump scare me. Fuck it. Oh my god! What the fuck? Alright, I hate to admit it, I really do, but this is the one thing in the game that actually startled me. Not because it's scary, it's a fucking foot, how scary can it be, but because loud, unexpected noise equals startled dumbass sitting on his computer playing Muzi. Is it a good scare? Nope. Did it get me? Sadly. But enough talking about this foot. Who does it actually belong to? Why, none other than Alpha Muzi, of course. You know, the iconic Alpha Muzi. I am once again still trying to wrap my head around this design being based on a mouse in any way, shape, or form. Have you ever seen a green Huggy Wuggy mouse before? And if you have, can I see it? Alpha Muzi pretty much just looks like a guy in a suit, except the guy in the suit is like really tall and really skinny. I think it's supposed to be some sort of animatronic type thing. But I don't know, man, it just really looks like a guy in a suit. But ignore Alpha Muzi for now. He can't even jump scare you here. Trust me, I tried. No, the real threat of this section is now normal Muzi, who has spawned in behind you and makes a beeline directly towards you. Before I talk about how you get the hell out of here, we need to talk about the jump scares in this game. After the interesting jump scare earlier in the game with that gingerbread man looking thing, my expectations for this game's animation work were extremely low. However, the Muzi jump scare was genuinely a nice surprise. Not only is it animated pretty good compared to like Ban jump scares and shit, it's also really funny. Muzi doesn't just quickly jump you and it ends there. No. Bro literally beats the shit out of you. Ignited Bonnie jump scare on crack cocaine. Alpha Muzi is a pretty similar jump scare later in the game, just less funny and less punches. Overall though, if I had to give Muzi some sort of compliment, these jump scares would probably be it. Unironically more interesting than a lot of jump scares I've seen in my time, even if they maybe aren't the most effective at actually being scary or startling. Like guys, the foot was more startling than this jump scare. Anyway, to escape the wrath of little Muzi, which once again can walk through the wall at the back of the room for some reason, just reminding you, you need to run back the way you came while pulling a bunch of levers to slow Muzi down. Kind of a nothing chase sequence, but I don't really know what I was expecting. Like the fucking Mona Lisa of Mascot horror chases from Muzi? Fat chance. Eventually you end up in this red room, some cutscene plays where the roof starts like crumbling or something, then 4 big Muzis show up. Ah, scary! Just kidding, I don't care. Eventually the lights go out, and when they come back on, all the Muzis are gone and it's safe to make progress once again. However, upon playing this part of the game, you might notice something. Your gun, along with any other shit you may have had in your inventory, is now permanently gone. You do not get them back. You do not get another gun later in the game. The time with the gun is over. What the fuck was the point of the gun? That's right, folks. The title of this video finally comes into play, because Muzi somehow fumbles one of the easiest tropes in the Mascot horror genre. The gun that you get multiple of is completely useless outside of the very start of the game. Muzi couldn't even get the gimmick of its own game right. Before I actually played Muzi, I joked about this exact scenario happening. I could have never guessed in 1,000 years that the gun was actually useless in the real game though. It just makes no sense to me. There are so many small parts of this game where using the gun would have made sense that are just completely ignored in favor of other shit. Like that gingerbread man monster thing that just falls over after a little bit. Why don't you have to shoot them with the gun to make them fall over? Or the glass window that you use a wrench to break. Why don't you use the gun and shoot the glass? It actually just hurts my head, dude. I can't believe this game has the audacity to give you a gun upgrade that is not only never used once in the game for progression or anything really, but also takes said gun away from you in the 3rd act of the game. Do you want to know the funniest part about all this? There are even more guns hidden in this game. There's a brown gun hidden in the platforming area that's just a slower version of the default gun, and there's a black gun that's hidden on a block above the entrance to the playground area of the map. What is the point of adding this many guns to Muzi when you can only access them at a point where the guns are completely useless for the remainder of the playtime? The level of mental gymnastics at play here are bizarre. Did nobody mention this during playtesting? Did this game even have playtesting? How is the Garten of Banban drone a more meaningful gimmick than a gun? You had one job! Alright, enough yapping with this game and its great, very well thought out gimmick. Let's just finish this shit already. I can't believe I'm saying this, guys, but I might be Muzi'd out. The next area you have to go to is this room with a massive hole in the wall. I guess that Muzi from earlier ended up going here, but he doesn't notice us walk into the room. Kind of a neat little visual detail. Good job, Muzi. Now, if only I could shoot them! In order to progress further, you need to find an access card to open the big metal door blocking the way. This part is kind of the most nothing section yet in a game full of nothing sections. There's a safe in the room that has an access card inside of it, and you're given 4 different potential codes to try punching into the safe. It's the exact same answer every single time you play the game, so you can just punch in the numbers until you eventually punch in the correct one. And that's it. Okay, cool. Very awesome video game. Once you have the card and open up the door, you're thrown into the last chase sequence that Muzi has to offer. You walk down a long hall, get chased by Alpha Muzi, pull some levers, and stop him using another metal door that he punches an exclamation point, a Huggy Wuggy face, and a giant tit into, respectively. Awesome chase, guys. Did you know I really love this game? From here, you can go into a breaker room with nothing in it, jump up to a door that opens to reveal a wall that was definitely not intended to be here.
James was
My favorite part.
You love that part.
Or walk down to the stairs to end the game. Yep, you heard me right. We are at the end. However, because we picked up that golden key earlier, we get the secret ending where you give the gold key to the small blue thing, and that's it. You walk into an elevator, press a button, and the game ends. Or should I say, chapter ends? You're telling me there's more Muzi? Wow, aren't I the luckiest PNG of a dog on this side of YouTube? The credits roll, a small teaser for chapter 2 plays, and the game ends. That was Muzi. And that was also my last brain cell going out. 10 out of 10, would Moose again. But wait, don't get too excited, because there's a little bit of post-game content to go over. And by a little bit of post-game content, I mean flying into the air. Oh, I'm flying! Oh my god. Okay, so if you do the golden key thing, beat the game, and start a new save file afterwards, the small blue thing will be waiting at the start of the game with a claw that you can pick up and use. It's pretty useless overall, but it does let you move around a shit ton of objects in the environment easier. That wasn't a joke earlier either. If you stand on a block while using the claw on it, you will slowly fly into the air. This is also how you get one of the secret guns I mentioned earlier.
I told Dave to speedrun.
There it is. I see it. Okay. Yup. There we go.
You did it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
It's the fastest gun in the
I'm gonna
game.
be so-
However, this strat is immediately made irrelevant by the fact that you can just run into a bottle on the ground and fly into the air if you hit it right. Because this game is just made really well, of course. This game is truly the speedrun where you can fly, if you catch my drift, you know? Okay, I'm done. Let's just wrap this up. Muzi is a very nothing game. It's not as funny as Banban, it's not as creative as pretty much anything else in the genre, and it's overall kind of just extremely boring. It is in no way worth the $5 asking price unless you're planning to make content out of it. I already thought Poppy Chapter 1 being $5 at launch was dire. This is on a whole other level though. I don't think Muzi has any sort of staying power, ironic or not. People are just tired of stuff like this at this point. And when there's so many good games coming out in the Mascot horror genre right now, it's hard to even care about games like this anymore. I mean, hey, I'll at least still be here playing them, because I think watching dumpster fires burn is entertaining, but for the general gaming audience, there really isn't much here. I will say this though, obviously the dev is young, so this game is at least somewhat impressive with that in mind. I hope they keep creating, keep improving, and at least consider some of what I said today. Once again though, it's really not that serious. That's pretty much all I gotta say about Muzi. Unless there's a substantial leap in quality somehow, I probably won't be talking about this series again. Who knows, crazier shit has happened. That may be the end of the video, but tune in next time, which should be pretty soon, for the next slop game on the list, Rubber Hose Rampage. It should be a fun one. Let's just say that. Anyway, make sure to buy Handy Dan's, link in the description, and I've been yeah, and I'll see you all next time.